Behold, Ganyu's true form. All powers to Ganyu. Hello and welcome to Daily Genshin. I'm your host, the Gaming Guinea. Welcome back to another episode. I don't know if you managed to catch that glimpse, but the Traveler obviously has some sort of power he has yet to reveal to us, because he just brought up some sort of constellation with his hand, I might add. Some sort of hologram or something. So I wonder, are you holding out on us, sir? Things that you can potentially do. We have the Lantern Rite festival coming up tomorrow. So we are very excited for that. It looks like it's going to be a 4-stage event, probably time gated, so that we don't complete it all in one day. And 2 different types of markets or currency that we'll be collecting to get everything. But the most important thing that everybody should have in mind is get that skin for Ningguang, because it's free in game while the event lasts. And also, who are you going to choose out of the 6 characters or 7 that they're gonna have available? For me, Xiangling, Xingyan and Junjin are out. I definitely don't want them. Xiangling, Jinshu, and Xiangyun are out for me specifically because I already have them at Constellation 6. And so that leaves me with Ningguang, who else is the other one? Oh, Janfei and Beidou. So for me, it's going to be between those 3. I'm inclined to think Yanfei because I kind of like the Catalyst Fire attacker character that she portrays, and she does decent DPS, I hear. But I also kind of interested about Ningguang, especially that screen that she does, which protects me from range attacks. Beidou I kind of like, but she's she's more like a tanker and a sustainer, like somebody to help you shield up through stuff. So she might be going in some situations. I like all 3 of them, so I'm still undecided as to who am I gonna pick. Perhaps he's gonna come down to whoever is on the future banner for that's coming up right now, because Shenhe and Zhao are going away, and we'll get a future banner. So maybe it's gonna depend on who we have on those banners for the 4 stars that I may base my final decision on. So that's it for me in regards to that. We have basic commissions today, no special ones, no exclamations. Of course, these are the generic ones, but it looks like even our 4th commission in Liyue is also going to be a generic one. So we're going to start with that. Let's see where we need to go. Let's go here. I think it'll be easier to get from here. And for today's topic of discussion, I've been debating whether to do this one because it's probably been talked about so much, but I've yet to hear anything substantial come out from it, and it's the elephant in the room. It's that nagging feeling that something is amiss here, and nobody seems to be like talking about this person. No one at all. We hear tidbits. Some people think she's actually evil or up to no good, but I don't think that's the case. I think there's something more going on that we have yet to decipher. And that, of course, is our friend PAIMON. Yep. PAIMON is interesting to me because I don't think she's evil. some people say, well, she's the unknown god. She's like the unknown god. We all know this. But I don't think that's the case with her. That theory to me sounds like I don't think she is the unknown god, because why would the unknown god subject herself to be your Tevat guide? Yeah, I don't think that's something that she would do. So I don't. That's why I don't think it's that she is the unknown god.
By royal decree.
Take this!
Did we kill the Sama? I don't know.
No rest for the wicked. Take this! Midnight Phantasmagoria.
So yeah, I don't think she is the unknown god, but I do think there's a lot of suspicion around her. So what do we know about her? The only thing concrete we know about her is that she was fished out of, when they said it, I think they said it was the lake, but when we start the story, it's an ocean. But apparently that event of being fished out of the lake happened 2 months ago, before the start of the game, or months. There was at least months on time separation where she was fished out by the traveler. So that's the only concrete, concrete information we have about her. Of course, we can say, well, we also have other types of concrete information about her. She likes treasure. Yes, we know this. She likes Mora. And she likes food. If we had to put it in some sort of order, I would say food, treasure, Mora. In that order. And we know that about Paimon. As much as we would like to say we know her more than that, that's really all the concrete information we have about her. Now, what we can speculate on, or we can theorize, of course, is that like other people saying she's like the unknown god in disguise, or like a fraction of the god, or some sort of other godly fragmentation. But I don't think that's the case. I do think, however, that it is right to say that she is somehow connected to Celestia, just based on her attire and the way her cape seems to have that same of starry field, like Daison's has, and also her crown. That gives her away that she is somehow tied to Celestia in some way. Now, the crown does give her a certain type of, maybe she is higher up in the hierarchy of maybe where she comes from. Because, I mean, why have only people with crowns can do that? It doesn't seem to be like a normal part of any attire. But that is the case. Now, the other thing that bothers me about her, apart from the voice sometimes, is the fact that while in Tevat, the denizens of Tevat don't seem to put much merit into what Paimon is, what kind of race she's from. Like, we are already 3 nations deep into the story. We've been to Mondstadt, we've been to Liyue, we've been to Inazuma, and none of those nations, there seems to be any other Paimons around. There's no other Paimons walking around the place. But yet, the denizens of Tevat that we have met don't even comment on on Paimon at all when they meet her. So they're not surprised by Paimon in a sense. They're not like, what are you? And yes, we do have some characters, some NPCs that do comment on Paimon. They call her, they think it's her, like Shangli thought she was food, but then again, Shangli thinks everything is food that she doesn't know. Or they call her a talking Sealy, perhaps, or a fairy of some sort. But other than that, they don't seem very interested to know anything further. Paimon, they just casually brush her off as nothing is happening, and that's really interesting to me. Now, one of the things I would say that could totally override my suspicions is that the denizens of Teyvat are not necessarily close-minded in regards to other races, because in Mondstadt, in Inazuma, and in Liyue, all of them seem to be knowledgeable of Sealies. There's Sealies everywhere, so that could be the case. Also the case in Mondstadt, we have the healer trolls, and we have entities like Andrews, although I don't know if Mondstadters in general know about Andrews, but they know about Wolvendom, and not to go into the forest because there's wolves in there. And in Liyue, of course, they have the Adepti, so they know the Adepti are real. Although they are fading sort of into legend and myth, they still, to some extent, know that this region of the map, Yunkars, is Adepti territory, and they seldom go in there. So there's that. And then in Inazuma, obviously, the Inazumans know about Onis. They know about Tengus. They know about the Tanuki and the Kitsune, perhaps. The Tanuki and the Kitsune perhaps being the more obscure of the bunch. But they still know, the general populace knows about these other races in Teyvat. So perhaps because of that, they don't dig too much or are not surprised to see Paimon when they do. And that could, like, of course, bring down my theory, like, why is nobody surprised that Paimon, a talking fairy that floats around and says and communicates, why are they not, like, curious about her at all? I would be if I met a Paimon. So that's my theory, that there's something there, perhaps, that the denizens are not even interested, that makes them uninterested for Paimon. Maybe there is some sort of magical or godly power there at the works that makes Paimon uninteresting to everybody she meets, or at least not causes them not to have second thoughts or try to investigate further.
Everybody stand back!
Now, I also think, although I don't think Paimon is bad, like I said before, I do think she is hiding something. She is very suspicious in regards to what's going on, because she's the one that basically told us when we met to go seek the help of the Archons. She's the one that started us on the quest to, like, oh, well, let's go and talk to the Archons. Like, if she knew, like, the Archons were gonna be helpful in some way, seek the guidance of the Archons. And not to mention, if she's our guide, and it could be because we were closest to Mondstadt, Mondstadt was the first region we went into. but she should have known that Venti hasn't been seen in years. If she is truly knowledgeable about the area, she would have known that Venti hasn't been seen in years. And that's kind of suspicious. Then why go to Monster? Why not let's go to Liyue instead? But that's part of it. So to me, she guiding the traveler to say, hey, let's go to Mondstadt and go look at the Archons is very suspicious. Like the Archons are supposed to do something or know something to help us from the get-go. And then when we meet the Archons, at least two of them that we met, they seem to be knowledgeable somewhat about certain things. But then on the other hand, they seem to be also reluctant to share more than a certain amount of information at a time. That goes for Venti and Morax, both of them. When we meet them. Now, now that I've gone through some of the story, I don't know what sparked us to go to Inazuma next. I think it was just the progression. But I don't think it was Paimon that said, hey, let's go to Inazuma next. But A, of course, was completely not helpful at all. Like, she did not give us any new information in regards to...
Brace yourself.
She did not give us any new information about her sister, or it doesn't even seem like our sibling even went to Inazuma anymore. So that's also questionable. But I don't think it was Paimon also that she didn't suggest for us to go to Inazuma. It just so happens that Beidou was there, and somehow we landed in Inazuma and got embroiled in their conflict, even though we weren't there specifically for that. But it is what it is. So obviously, when the Archons meet Paimon, they also act nonchalant about it. Like, they don't even question her existence. What is she? Why is she there? They just take her as is. So that's also like, what's going on here? Why is nobody commenting on the fact that this pygmy-sized fairy is talking to this traveler? They also don't question her motives, like, why are you here if you're somebody that obviously we've met before from Celestia? There's no questions, nothing of that sort. So that's why I'm thinking there's some almost like plot holes that need to be filled up, or maybe explanations will be owed in the future in regards to Paimon. So as far as what I think, and this is completely theory on my part as to what Paimon is. I think she is some sort of maid. I've heard the term star keeper. She's a star keeper. That's a possibility. She is probably some sort of Celestia servant. And the reason we fished her out of the lake is that she failed. She was outcast. She was exiled from Celestia. Probably for being a little lazy. Maybe because she has her way. So maybe she was a little like she ate all the food for the banquet, or she was more trouble than she was worth, and she was cast out and thrown out of Celestia. Now, how a flying creature like her got cast down, I'm not sure, because she would have flown down, in my opinion. But obviously, it was very whatever she did was bad enough. That she was forcefully removed, possibly made unconscious before being thrown out of Celestia. Another point that works in my suspicion with her is, like, in no part of this story does she even question her place herself. Like, she doesn't say, who am I? Who... At least I know I'm the traveler. I come from possibly another world, and I'm looking for my sister. But Paimon just decided, oh, I'm just gonna be your guide, but doesn't question, it's like, where did I come from? So those are questions like I think she already knows possibly the answer to, but unfortunately we don't know the answer
By
to.
royal decree, everybody stand back.
And so she either knows what she's about, which is more than likely the reason.
Think you can get away? Yahoo!
And she doesn't want to tell us about it. She'd rather play dumb, basically. She's playing dumb with us and trying to guide us in a way without saying too much. So in some ways, I think that she's also tied like the Archons are in regards to talking about certain topics, in regards to possibly Celestia or the adventure we are on. But in a roundabout way, she could potentially guide us to places that we need to go in order to fulfill our quest. So see, like all of this stuff that I just talked about is like a lot of the stuff that's in my head in regards to Paimon. And I don't know if this is also in the heads of other people. But yeah, she is a character that I'm curious to see what comes next, because we rarely talk about her and she is present in almost everything that we do, being our guide. Now, if she fell from the sky, and we know that the
Thank you for completing today's commission.
body of water that was referenced
Ad Astra Abyss.
in her little story, like she said, I think it specifically said she was fished out from a lake, not the ocean where we started the game. That would mean that, and based on the location that we were in when we started the game, that would mean the possibility or the likelihood that she was fished out of Starfell Lake. It is the only lake in the area, the only lake mentioned in the map that we see. There's Falcon Coast. This possibly can be called Spring, as this is a spring. We have Cider Lake, the only other one, but we were over here when it started. So I'm thinking maybe she was fished out of Starfell Lake. This is the only other lake that we see, Cider Lake, but it's a huge body of water. So I'm thinking, man, maybe a Starfell Lake, there is some connection there. But we never know which lake she was fished out of. So there's that. But we start the game here. So that's another question, is where did the traveler first came to? That we don't know. Were they in the Stormbearer Mountains? They were somewhere in this region for 2 months. But obviously, if they were in this region for 2 months, why would the Mondstadters not know him for 2 months? So I'm thinking that he came to this region from somewhere else, because he wouldn't have been in this area right here without Amber the Outrider knowing about him at all. Amber would have caught up on it and investigated immediately if there was some stranger roaming Mondstadt region. So I'm thinking for 2 months, Paimon and the Traveler were not in this area where we started the game. They were probably somewhere else, but we don't know where at this point. But yeah, Paimon obviously knows more than she is telling. She is guiding us towards reconciling with the Archons in some way, even going as far as Inazuma, which we know the Raiden Shogun has been disconnected for a while from Celestia. So
I hear the voice of
there's
fate
all this stuff
speaking my
that
name
obviously
in humble
she is
supplication.
orchestrating behind the scenes. But again, I don't think it's a malicious in any way. It's just she can't simply say. That's my theory on the whole thing. All right, we did our commissions. We did our resin daily, 160 gone. The only thing left is for me to visit the teapot and do the refresh on the furnishings. And apart from that, I'm looking forward to the start of tomorrow's event, the Lantern Rites, the Chinese New Year representation of celebration and Tevat of that event. Again, I'm not sure how am I gonna spend those items but more than likely the three main candidates for me are Ningguang,
This realm is
Beidou, and
truly
Yang
beginning
Fei to pick. And that's mainly because I've already have Xingshu, Changyun, and Xiangling already at Constellation 6, so I cannot get them. It'll be pointless for me to get another Constellation for them. At some point when people have a lot of the characters, it might be needed. I guess I didn't put furnitures last time. It might not be feasible, and hopefully they'll give us like 10 wishes or something like that. If we don't, like in the future, if we don't want any of the characters, we can have 10 wishes instead. That's the equivalent, maybe not to a 5-star character, but at least a 4-star character. Let's do these paintings. Why not? Ooh, I guess I'm out of some materials for those. I'll do objects instead then. There we go.
If you ever have any questions about the...
Okay, let's go to... So if you have any other things you think I might have overlooked in regards to Paimon, let me know. Because yeah, she's an interesting character that we know very little about. And there's definitely more there that we haven't picked on. There might be clues hidden into things, her voice lines and things that she says in regards to the Traveler and us into that. Alright, I'll leave it in Liyue. Let's take one good look at how it looks so far, because I'm sure tomorrow this scenery will look somewhat different, possibly with some sort of statue in the middle and lantern rite decorations all around. Alright, well that's it for today. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time in Daily Genshin. Bye bye!